What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Adventure Outpost. It is another Monday report. We're going through everything we bought, watched, played, purchased, all that good stuff. And it's a big one today, so we're just going to dive right into everything, and we're going to start with our movies. It was a light week. It was a light week for picking up movies. The only two purchases that I picked up for this week was the new Scream movie in this awesome steelbook that we got here. And then they restocked the Dirty Dancing Lionsgate steelbook, and I had to pick that up because this is a fucking beautiful fucking steelbook right there. I freaking love that, so I was glad that that came back in. I didn't pick up Death on the Nile yet. I'm going to wait a little while for that to drop in price because saw it in theaters, wasn't the biggest fan of it, so it's not something I need like day one. But for this upcoming week, of course, tomorrow is the big day everyone's been waiting for. Spider-Man No Way Home finally dropped some physical media. Thankfully, it's the only movie that's coming out this week, so you can save a little money there, and that is the only thing I will be picking up. As for this previous week, everything that I watched, it was another light week. I didn't see as much as I was hoping or wanting to. Obviously, Lego Star Wars is taking over a large portion of my life right now. Since it came out on Tuesday, I have already logged about a day's worth of playing time. So it's taken over a large portion of my life. But I did manage to watch 4 movies this week, 2 old movies, 2 new movies. I started it off with watching Pretty in Pink. I'm in my mode to try and watch as many 80s movies as possible right now because I have a few videos that I want to do on the 80s. So I'm diving into all the big 80s movies that I haven't seen. So we watched this one, Pretty in Pink. It was a solid movie. It's not terrible. It's pretty decent 80s comedy, like the teen comedy that came out around then. Probably one of my more enjoyable John Hughes movies. His like Brad Pack movies are very hit or miss for me. But this one was pretty solid. After that, me and Heather went to the theater and saw The Lost City finally. It is an enjoyable movie. Wasn't the worst, wasn't the best. It's just simply a movie we've seen. Channing Tatum and Sandra Bullock have great chemistry. The whole section with Brad Pitt is probably the best part of the movie. And surprisingly, Daniel Radcliffe always brings the heat. He is one of the most underrated and versatile actors around today. It's an enjoyable movie. You can do worse at the theater than The Lost City. And then the day after that, I saw by myself Sonic the Hedgehog 2, which I absolutely hated. I know I seem to be in the minority here because most people seem to think that it's a decently enjoyable movie that builds upon the first one. While it does do those things, it does build upon the first one. I don't know. I just think it was too much. I don't know. I really don't know how to describe what it was. Like, it was just tiring to me. Like, the movie's way too long, an hour and 52 minutes. Absolutely no need for that. We spend a little too long on the subplot of the human characters, which nobody cares about. The jokes with them were, like, very tiring and dated already for a few of them. I don't know. It didn't hit the mark for me. Not that it really matters because it's a kid's movie. It's for kids. It's not made for me. I guess it's about what I expected. But it just didn't really hit the mark for me. And then finally, a classic movie that I have still yet to see that I crushed finally last night with the missus was Dirty Dancing. Finally with this new 4K here, we watched it. I had always meant to watch this movie and just always slipped through the cracks. This is quintessential 80s right here. This is one of those movies that, like, it just defines why the 80s was the greatest era of cinema. It's just filthy good. This movie is so fucking awesome. I loved every second of it. My fiance loved every second of it. I'm sure she's going to end up watching this at least like 3 times during the week this week. She's obsessed now. This was a great fucking movie. And as for this upcoming week, I'm going to continue to try and dive into the bunch of 80s movies I missed. I don't know which ones yet. I have a bunch in the collection. As we'll go through, we'll see what I feel like popping in. But as far as new movies go, this week I am going to finally sit myself down. I'm going to do it. I'm going to knock out Morbius. I'm seeing Ambulance with the missus on Thursday. And then I think there is the new Mark Wahlberg Easter movie, Father Stew. I'm going to try and knock out, and then also see the new terrible Fantastic Beasts movie. So those will be my big new movies for this week that I am going to try and knock out. Up next, we'll do the vinyl, because it's a quick one. There's not really much. I only picked up one, and it was the Encanto soundtrack. They got this really neat custom vinyl at Target right now for pretty cheap, only like 15 bucks. So to pick that up so we could add it into the movie soundtrack collection. Great fucking soundtrack right here. This shit bops. Fucking phenomenal. Now, while I didn't watch as many movies as I'd like, I did crush in the books department. So I read Mercy by David Baldacci. It was a book that I've missed out on. The last in the Atlee Pine thrillers. I mean, the last right now. This is the last one he's released. But it seems like the story is finally concluded on Atlee Pine in this series that she's been building up. I think this was the 4th book in the series of hers. It's really good. David Baldacci is just like a great writer that he's always, you can always go to the bank with him. Like he's always going to give you the goods. And this was another in a long line of great books by his. His next book comes out next week, actually. So I'll be picking that one up, and I really can't wait for it because David Baldacci is just such a sure thing. After that, I read number 5 in The Curse of the Mummy's Tomb on Goosebumps. It was fine. These books are like really silly, but some of them are more enjoyable than other ones. This one was pretty enjoyable. It had a neat little plot in Egypt, so it switched it up heavily from the previous books that you've read so far. So this was a neat little one that was an enjoyable little read. It's going to be a little while now, I guess, until I can read another Goosebumps book because the used bookstore that I go to that had all the Goosebumps book is closed until April 20th. So I was going to be taking a little break from the Goosebumps because that was the last one that I had. And then the last book that I read this past week was Dolores Claiborne by Stephen King, one of the other Stephen King books that I had to read. This is probably my least favorite Stephen King book I've ever read. It's interesting what he tried to do. This whole book is just one long chapter. There's just one chapter in the book, and it's all about this woman's inane ramblings to the police while she's recounting the story of what brought her in for questioning. It's definitely unique, and it's definitely interesting that he went outside the box and tried something different. It just didn't really hit the mark for me. I wasn't the biggest fan of it, and the rambling kind of like storyline just wasn't really for me. But still a very interesting and ballsy move on his part to do something with this. So I give him props simply for trying that. Now for this upcoming week, what I'm going to try and bang out is another 3 books, hopefully. Who knows if I'll be able to because these ones are a bit longer. The Goosebumps book you can read in one sitting. These ones not so much. I got The Bourne Identity. This is the book I'm going to start today. I'm pretty excited to read these. I love the movies. I hear these are pretty different from the movies, but I'm super excited to read them because the book is always better, baby. So I'm sure this is going to be really sick. And whenever I crack that out, I'm going to read The Dead Zone. This is another Stephen King book that I've yet to read. I've seen the movie and some of the episodes of the TV show, but I never read the book. So I'm excited to jump in and get into that book right now. And if for some miraculous way I bang out those 2 books before the next Monday report, then I'm going to start Nelson DeMille's The General's Daughter. I saw the movie when I was really young. I don't really remember too much about it. So I'm excited to hop in and read this book and then go and rewatch the movie. Now, of course, it's everyone's favorite segment, posters. So we got the new Lost City poster. This is really a lot of shit going on in here. It's like funny that like everyone adopts the Marvel way of doing posters now, where it's just like put every character on there in just this like weird amalgamation together, and like that's just the poster. So many posters do it now, and I hate it. I mean, it works for some of them, but not so much for all of them. Like I don't know. It's very hit or miss. And then we got the new Morbius. Obviously this one is backwards a little. Oh no, it's right. Maybe. I don't know. I can't tell. I don't think it is. Maybe. It looks backwards on my thing. But then when I look into the camera, it looks correct. We'll switch it around. Do it this way. Morbius. See, and now it looks backwards on that camera. But that way it's right. But that's the backwards way. Outrageous. But that's Morbius. We got that. Still haven't seen the movie, but we'll get there. And then we got, that just came out this past weekend, it is Ambulance. And I'm very, there's so much going on. It's like tough to like really put all this into the frame. But we got Ambulance. Whew. But wait, there's more. Still waiting for the movie to come somewhere on Long Island for me to see it. But we've got Everything Everywhere All at Once. This fucking really awesome movie that's just eyeballs. This is a really sick poster. I really like this one. We've got the Mark Wahlberg, sure to be classic, Father Stew. I'm sure this movie is going to be something. The Easter crowd is going to eat it up. And then, even though I wasn't the biggest fan of the movie, we have Sonic the Hedgehog. I'll flip it so it shows up correctly. Oof. We got Sonic the Hedgehog 2, which has got this really awesome poster. This one looks really cool. I like it a lot. And last but certainly not least, which I'm sure everybody is the one that they've all been waiting for, is my writing. I've banged out about 2/3 of the second story in Teenage Wasteland. Hopefully I'm going to finish it this week finally. Obviously, I've been caught up with all the stuff I've been doing between writing and writing. I had, writing, reading, and playing video games. It's a slower crawl than I'm normally used to, but I'm definitely going to bang out the last of that story today, and then we can begin work on the third one, which is going to be a Marx Brothers-esque comedy episode of that short story. But that is for next week's report. We're saving those goods for next week. But that'll do it for us all here today at The Outpost. Thank you for coming and checking out my wares. And now return to your regularly scheduled programming, and I'll see you next week for another bit of goodness. But from all of us here at The Outpost, you have been you, I have been me. These are the movies and the shit we love to collect. And until next time, adventure on.